I think we're live. Let me check the audio really quick because I've been having problems with it again. Go figure, right? Let me click this really quick. Hang on. I was actually getting ready to go to bed. My phone's been going really quick because I've been having problems with it. Okay. It sounds like it's going just fine. All right, let me pop out my chat. Okay, so I was basically getting ready to go to bed. And my phone's been going off, and I thought it was just more alerts about the snow coming. It's going to start again tomorrow evening. And then Wednesday morning, it's going to be heavy snow is what they're saying. Okay, so let me get this going for you. Let me get this at least to the spot. So anyway, my phone's been going off.
You need new glasses.
And like I said,
why not have them delivered?
And like I said, I thought it was about the weather. It's not. Let me start off with, she's back. Yeah, Hilary Clinton spoke at Georgetown University today on behalf of human rights abuses and misogyny. So this should be good. This really should be. Let me get this to the right spot. Okay, I think we're on. Now let me pull you up so I can get you to see the screen. But yeah, I was ready to go to bed. I'm in my pajamas. And okay, so my hair's still in kind of, sort of, it's braid. It's been falling out for the past hour and a half. And I haven't cared because I didn't think I was going to go online, but here I am. Okay, so let me screen share. There we go. And application. Where is it? Which one is it? There it is. Okay. And hide. Let me make sure that's looking at what I want you to look at. I'm going to go ahead and click present to everyone. There we go. Okay, let's go for this because I might be interrupting. I might be losing my mind. We'll find out though, won't we? Here we go. I should have refilled my coffee.
Humanity continue around the world. The women we honor tonight challenge these abuses and work tirelessly to advance peace, justice, and human rights. Nadia Murad is a Yazidi woman and a human rights champion. The Yazidi are an ethnic and religious minority in northern Iraq that have been targeted by ISIS. In 2014, ISIS abducted 7,000 Yazidi women and girls and forced many into sexual slavery. Nadia is a survivor. She shares her story with world leaders at the United Nations and beyond. She advocates for women who are still not free, still at risk, and still struggling. Weiwei Nu is a Rohingya woman and a pioneering peace builder in Myanmar. In Myanmar, ethnic conflict continues, and the nation's formal peace process is at a standstill. On the western border, the Rohingya minority are facing a textbook case of ethnic cleansing at the hands of the Myanmar military. Weiwei uses her status as a former political prisoner to advocate for women's equality and justice and peace in Myanmar. Lise Doucette is a Canadian journalist and the BBC's chief international correspondent, covering conflicts in some of the most challenging places. From Syria to Afghanistan and beyond, she has demonstrated a fearless commitment to telling the stories of those caught behind the front lines. Her reporting exposes the unique impact conflict has on women and children, and also the daring and vital work that women are doing to build peace. Nadia, Weiwei, and Lise exemplify women's leadership in advancing human rights, justice, and peace. Today, Georgetown University honors these three brave women.
They really should have made it so you could see what's on the screen. Is that Hilary? Oh, God. Is that her?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this awards program to honor extraordinary leadership in advancing women in
Looks
peace
like her.
and security.
Doesn't sound
I
like
want
her.
to give a very special welcome to our remarkable honorees and to their relatives and friends who have traveled here to be with them. I also want to welcome the members of our diplomatic corps, ambassadors of Finland, Kosovo, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Albania, as well as officials with the Canadian and British embassies. Georgetown has always recognized our obligation to engage with the pressing challenges.
Okay, I just want to point this out. Right here it says HRC Awards. So that's Hillary Rodham Clinton Awards. So apparently this is something that the Clinton Foundation does? Or the Clinton Global Initiative? Something? She just won't go away.
Of our time, and to seek ways to contribute to the flourishing of our global community. As our president, Jack DeGioia, has observed, there are many approaches to the complex work of building sustainable peace.
She actually dresses like Hillary and has that same haircut. I wonder if that's intentional. I don't know.
Or realizing the full development of our diverse societies. Yet one theme emerges: the importance that women are full participants and valued leaders in global affairs. And that is the focus of our coming together this morning. In December of 2011, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton came to Georgetown to launch the U.S. National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security. On that occasion, the president of the university also announced the creation of the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security. It would pioneer innovative research and scholarship that is evidence-based, work to bridge theory and practice, and bring together global leaders to advance women's participation in peace and security. As the secretary said at that time, whether it's ending conflict, managing a transition, or building a country, the world cannot afford to continue to ignore half the population. This is not a women's issue. It cuts to the heart of our national security and the security of people everywhere. The Institute recently released a new global index on women, peace, and security that was undertaken with our Norwegian partners. The index, for the first time, ranks 153 countries on the status of women's inclusion, justice, and security. We are thrilled that Secretary Clinton is back with us today. Over 20 years ago, as First Lady, she made an historic speech on behalf of the United States at the UN Conference on Women.
I'm guessing that that was before she stole stuff from the White House. Oh, and they left broke. Yeah, remember that?
Took place in Beijing. She said then that it is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights, and went on to pronounce words that would echo around the world.
And then went on to be friendly with Saudi Arabia and other places that mutilate women's genitalia, force them to wear hijabs, believe that a woman's word is worth half of a man's, honor killings. Yeah, she's a stand-up woman for women.
Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. It marked a key moment in the empowerment of women as women's rights were chiseled into international law. And it sparked a worldwide movement that continues to this day. Those years found her traveling to over 75 countries on behalf of progress for women and girls, speaking out, for example, against the treatment of Afghan women, leading efforts to combat human trafficking, helping to support women in Northern Ireland who were involved in the peace process. And as she continued to champion these issues, as the first elected woman senator from New York, and then as Secretary of State, she reminded us that women's issues are critical to national security and elevated them as a central component of US foreign policy. And as you all know, in 2016, she became the first woman to run for president of the United States as the nominee of a major political party and won the popular vote. So please.
Actually, she didn't win the popular vote because it was just proven that over 24 million votes were fraudulent, either by dead people or by illegals or by those who did double voting. And I was saying maybe it was a close tie, still Trump winning the quote popular vote, since soon after the election, they had already proven that 5 million of those votes were fraudulent, which is about what she was missing. So nobody's talking about that, though.
Please welcome please welcome the honorary founding chair of the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security, Secretary Hilary Rodham Clinton.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Hello.
Oh, God, I can't stand her voice. This is going to be painful.
Thank you. Hello, Georgetown. It is great to be back here, and I am delighted to join you for this award ceremony once again. I want to thank Milan,
this
who
is
has
something
been
you
my
totally
partner,
set up.
my colleague, and my friend for decades now. There's an old expression you've probably heard, if you want something done, ask a busy woman. Well, I have to say that is Ambassador Milan Verveer summed up very well. The Institute for Women, Peace, and Security is a testament to her vision as well as her sheer determination to make that vision a reality. I also want to thank President DeGioia. He truly embodies the Georgetown motto of men and women for others, and his leadership about so many important matters, but particularly this institute, is absolutely extraordinary. You know, this university and this institute have flourished because so many people have seen its merit and have understood that it was filling a gap that many didn't even know existed. So I always am delighted to return to the hilltop and to sing the praises along with all of you of heroic women and men who have been recognized over the years for their commitment to advancing women in peace and security. So be prepared to be humbled, inspired, and energized. They are particularly relevant this year when the steady drumbeat of women speaking out about their own experiences has never been stronger.
Never been stronger. Yes, because, you know, back in the 80s, we just didn't really care about women being raped and stuff like that. Oh my God, this woman, I can't stand her.
I think this is a watershed moment and a powerful reminder of how important it is to make sure that women have a place at any table where decisions are made.
As long as they've earned to be at that seat, to be at that table. You just don't want anyone coming up to the table regardless of their sex.
From the C-suite to media to government to the peace table, everywhere. We can all do a better job of making this.
Okay, I have to pause it. So I've got Glenn here, and he says in the chat, wonder how many harvested organs and children's blood it takes to get her to rise from her slab. Oh, God, you're killing me.
A priority every day. And as Americans, standing up for human rights and against injustice around the world is vital. I would argue it is part of the American DNA.
But wasn't she against gay marriage? So were gays considered not human to her at that time? Just a question.
It is also, however, important to be clear-eyed about the challenges we face in our own country. That's true whether we are grappling with endemic harassment and assault, threats to women's health and reproductive rights, or pay disparities and other persistent inequities in our own economy.
Reproductive rights, that's the right to go get knocked up when you shouldn't and to have an abortion. It's actually not reproductive rights. It's the opposite of being reproductive, right?
But no one should ever underestimate the power of women and girls, not only to improve their own lives, but to help lift up families, communities, and entire nations. The extraordinary courage and resilience of women and girls in the face of vast inequity and injustice is humbling. I've listened to girls as young as 12 argue forcefully and passionately against child marriage.
As young as what, 12? But didn't you defend a guy who you knew was guilty of raping a 12-year-old and then turned around and said basically she egged him on, she wanted it? I think so.
Activists who risk their own safety to speak out against honor killings.
Just like you risked your own safety by going to, I forget where, with your daughter and then claiming that you were under sniper fire, right? Yeah.
Held the hands of women and tiny little girls who lived through unimaginable horrors and emerged determined not to be destroyed by what was done to them.
Has she ever bothered to meet and here see Ali or any of these other women out there speaking against Islam? I don't think so.
But to do everything they could to prevent others from facing and enduring what they had. Through it all, I have seen that women are not only victims of war and conflict, but they are agents of change, makers of peace, and drivers of progress. That was truly the belief behind the creation of the Georgetown Institute for Women in Peace and Security, the first of its kind in the world, back in 2011. We came together to declare that the issue of women's full participation in peace and security could no longer be relegated to the margins of international affairs. And in the years that followed, the Institute has gathered the data to support what we knew in our hearts, that encouraging women's participation is strategic and necessary to peace, prosperity, and security. The tradition of women standing up for human rights and democracy stretches across centuries and continents. From the British suffragists who fought for and won the right to vote 100 years ago tomorrow, before we did, to the women around the world who are at the forefront of taking on urgent global threats like climate change and violent extremism, to today.
Okay, now to our suffragettes, voting was left as a state's issue. And women could vote in those states. So it was only some areas, like New York, that said, no, women can't vote. But a lot of states, you actually had to be a property owner to be able to vote. So it didn't even matter if you were black or a woman. If you owned property, you could vote. Now to our Susan B. Anthony. They actually believed in women's rights to the point of they needed to learn how to defend themselves, and they were actually pro-guns.
Honorees. There's Nadia Murad, a former captive of the Islamic State, a Yazidi human rights activist who is working to bring ISIS to justice while helping survivors of genocide and human trafficking heal and rebuild their lives and their...
And while you were schmoozing with the people who were funding ISIS, you know, those people like the Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslim World League, Saudi Arabia. Good going, Hilary.
Communities. Nadia's work is close to my heart because for decades, we have tried to take on the global scourge of human trafficking. Started working on it as First Lady, as a senator, as Secretary of State. In fact, it was 20 years ago this March that with the help of your professor, Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, we worked with the Clinton administration to help change the way that America saw this issue.
Meanwhile, harassing women who were claiming your own husband raped them, sexually abused them, assaulted them. And then there's the blue dress. Ironically, you're wearing something blue. Where he definitely had power over a little intern.
Recognize human trafficking for what it is, not a cultural artifact, not collateral, but a crime that deserves to be prosecuted. When we first took on this issue, we addressed what we called the 3 Ps of prevention, prosecution, and protection. During my time as Secretary of State, we added a 4th, partnership. We brought together NGOs, governments, and the private sector to fight together against human trafficking and forced labor. And because we know that this is not an issue that affects only the far-flung corners of the world, we made sure that for the first time, the 2010 Trafficking in Persons report included data on human trafficking here in the United States.
Yet, every Super Bowl weekend, it's always the highest amount of trafficking that happens in the United States, which includes the trafficking of children, 10 and below, of minors, 17 and below, of women who've been put into sex slavery, etc., etc. Yet nobody talked about it this weekend. And wasn't it Trump recently who put out an executive order to put this to an end? I don't think it was you as Secretary of State, and it definitely wasn't your husband as president. And Obama didn't have anything to do with that.
This is not just someone else's problem. This is all of our problem. Our second honoree, Weiwei Nu, is a human rights and democracy activist from Myanmar. She spent years as a political prisoner under the Burmese military government. One of the horrors of her imprisonment was being cut off from everything that was going on in her society. So out of that experience, she has worked to raise awareness and mutual understanding and improve the human rights of the Rohingya. As Secretary of State, when I introduced Resolution 1888 to the Security Council of the United Nations, it was just months after visiting with survivors of mass rape and brutality in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We wanted to bring together the international community to expand our commitment to combating sexual violence in conflict zones, and we created the first U.S. National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security to do just that. It was very gratifying to see the Congress pass a law to codify that national plan just last year, and I look forward to seeing our government implement it. In recent years, the evidence has only grown to support the fact that sexual violence in conflict is both a gross human rights violation and a security challenge. It fuels displacement, weakens governance, destabilizes societies. It inhibits post-conflict resolution and imperils the long-term stability of countries. Clearly, we still have urgent work to do. Just last fall, the current UN Special Representative on Sexual Violence in Conflict traveled to Bangladesh.
Oh, the same UN who decided to put Saudi Arabia at the helm of human rights and women's rights. Yeah, I can see a lot of progress being made under that.
Where hundreds of thousands have fled to escape the crisis in Myanmar. She reported that every single woman she met either witnessed or endured brutal sexual assault. The stories of the atrocities being committed against Rohingya women and girls, some very young girls, should horrify each and every one of us, and more than that, should spur all of us to action. This is not a partisan issue in this time of such great partisanship. In fact, it's not even a woman's issue. It should be an issue that goes to the very heart of who we are as human beings, to our common humanity. Our third honoree, Lise Doucette, is a reporter who has worked to shine a light on the experiences of women and children in conflict, telling the stories that are too often overlooked. She has reported from some of the most important and dangerous areas in the world and done so with courage, compassion, and clarity. Good reporting is not only compelling and enlightening, it is absolutely essential. I still believe in truth, evidence, facts. There is no such thing as alternative reality.
Really? That's amazing, because with this memo that came out, pretty much the mainstream media who backed Hilary, they're sticking by the memo and making excuses for it, basically. This is just insane. She doesn't believe in a free press.
And we have to make sure that we don't try to live in it or let anybody else push us to live in it either.
Oh, she looked a little disgusted that the applause weren't as big as what she wanted.
So at a time when expertise, truth, and facts are under siege, the work of journalists like Lise is particularly crucial. Now, it's easy to be overwhelmed by all that's going on at the world and on the world stage and here at home. I know that. I get overwhelmed at least a dozen times a day. I've spent the last year
Thank God she didn't become president. Just walking in the woods. She's getting overwhelmed at least 12 times a day. Can you imagine if she was president? How many times would she be overwhelmed then? Oh, Jesus criminy. Frogs on a biscuit of swampish dew. I have an earbud in my ear, so her voice is totally grating into the very back of my neck.
Traveling the country, meeting people at signings for my book and other events, listening to what's on their minds.
Her book. She had to bring up her book because everything's always about her.
And I've been asked more times than I can count, what can we do? Now, one answer is clear. Advancing the rights, opportunities, and full participation of women and girls is the great unfinished business of the 21st century.
What can we do? Well, as Secretary of State, she actually installed Civil Society 2.0 into our own government, and it's still in place. You can still go find it. I'm not kidding. It's under the .gov secretary. What is it? It's a Secretary of State area, and it's still there. And if you read it, and if you learn what actually happened in Ukraine while she was Secretary of State, and you'll see how Soros was implementing this 2.0, how we were implementing the Civil Society 2.0 to back the real Nazis on their coup of the Ukrainian government. Oh, and ironically, John McCain was fully behind it as well. There's lots of pictures of him with, and don't ask me how to say the guy's name, but this guy's a real Nazi. He puts his arm up in the air, just like the Nazis did. And in fact, McCain was just there in, I believe it was January. So, yeah, the whole Ukraine thing. Oh, and then when Trump won, because the DNC, the Clinton campaign, and the Obama administration were colluding with Ukraine to screw this all up for Trump. And when Trump actually won, Ukraine actually, they started scrambling to figure out, what do we do now? And they actually came out and apologized to Trump for colluding with the Obama administration, the DNC, and the Clinton campaign. Fun facts.
I intend to keep fighting to pursue this agenda and to remain on the front lines of democracy. But the most important question for everyone here is, what can you do? What will you decide to make your mission, your purpose, your passion, to use your education, your mind, your resolve to make our world a better place? And in particular, what can you do to make sure that the lives of women and girls is never again relegated to the backstage somewhere?
Okay, well, these people are talking about human rights. What about the little boys that are, being made into little sex toys in the Muslim countries? What about that? What about those little boys who end up with herpes because of how the really, how do I put it? The very strict Jews do circumcisions. But we're going to keep talking about these little girls. Meanwhile, we have honor killings happening in this country. Meanwhile, we have female genital mutilation happening in this country. What about those little girls in Haiti, Hilary? What about them?
Seen as frivolous or a luxury that we can't afford because of all the other important matters that are facing us. I think the stories of today's honorees are proof of what's possible when we refuse to give in or let our voices be silenced. It is hard to continue to speak up, speak out, stand up against what you think of as obvious wrongs. Do not grow weary. Bring a sustained commitment. Think of these honorees. Don't get discouraged. Draw hope and inspiration from each of them and leave here today with a renewed commitment to making your own mark on the world. I know that's what we need more than ever, and I'm very confident that this university, students, and all of you here today can really make a difference. Thank you all very much.
Is that it? Please let that be it. She didn't know where to go. She's lost. Please, just, oh, okay. Is she done? I don't know.
Thank you so much, Secretary Clinton, for your
Okay, is she
inspiring
done?
words and
gonna let
for
me see.
your ongoing commitment on the
Okay.
voice until the terror.
She's gonna
Proud
sit
to
there?
present the 2018 Hillary Clinton Award for Advancing Women in Peace and Security.
Uh-oh. What happened to my... Did I lose internet? I hope not. I think that's done. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I really don't know what's going on with the computer. Oh, okay. Oh, God. Can you imagine being that little girl having to hug her? Oh, she's going to hand this to her. Okay. And there's Hillary's fake smile. That's great. Okay.
She founded
I think they're just posing.
Showed the most courage.
Okay. I think she's done talking. She's got a microphone in her hand. I don't know if I can do much more of this.
I was actually spent time in prison in the former Soviet Union, behind the Iron Curtain, in China, in other places, not just the current hotspots and conflicts. And almost to a person, they've said how important it was when the American president or the American Secretary of State or the American First Lady or the American anyone spoke out about the importance of...
Okay, I can't take her anymore. All right, so let me go ahead and close this window. I really can't take her much more. I mean, that was insane. Not even worth it. And I have no idea what you're seeing. I guess it's me. Yeah. I was going to go to bed, like I said. So let me make that like that. And I'll do an entire screen. Oops. Didn't really want to do that, did I? Anyway, so Glenn says here, I know you like Trump, but he's cozy with the same oligarchs. Well, the problem with Trump is his daughter was out partying with a whole bunch of leftists the night before the inauguration. His daughter's friends with Dina Powell, who's very tight on the left and very tight within the deep state. His foreign policy is nothing's changed with that. It's a friggin' mess. I like Trump only because he's not a quote politician, but I don't think Trump is the answer. I think he's more of a symptom of what's been going on, that a lot of people are really sick of this corruption happening and nobody ever goes to jail, ever. I mean, if anyone's shocked with this memo and how the FBI treated Hillary and on and on and on, I don't know where you've been. Remember Lois Lerner, where the Obama administration was going after conservatives with the IRS, having the IRS attack them. It's one thing after another, and it doesn't matter who's been in office. I mean, this train wreck of our democracy, it's been full throttle. I mean, it really hit full throttle with Clinton. But before that was Bush, Daddy Bush. After that was Little Boy Bush. Then we got Obama. Before that, we had before all that, let's see, we had Jimmy Carter with the creation of the Department of Education, the Department of Energy. Those things, they've taken more of our money But the costs have gone up and our education has just gone down. We were number one. I don't even think we're number two anymore. I think we're below that at this point. Let's see, before Carter, there was Nixon. He took us off the gold standard. How's that helpful? Before that, oh gosh, I can just pick names out of the hat. Roosevelt. So it's just gotten worse and worse. So people need to know the Constitution. There's problems in the Constitution. I'm the first one to say so. However, it's what demands our government to be limited. It's what demands our individual rights. You can't get to be any more of a minority than an individual. So our individual rights need to be upheld, supported, and defended. So, and all these people who are totally on this Trump train, woohoo! Where's our wall? Where's our immigration? If you look at the Constitution, yeah, there's the 14th Amendment that says those who were born here, but clearly it was for the newly freed blacks, because Native Americans, the Indians, they didn't become citizens until what, 1920, I totally went blank, 1919, 1924? My computer's making funny noises, so I would grab my notes and look it up, but they didn't become citizens. This was not, being born here doesn't make you a United States citizen, because it clearly says in the 14th, and subject to the jurisdiction. Well, a Mexican coming across the border, pregnant or not, is not subject to the United States country. And subject, let's look at the word itself. You're a subject of what? England? So they use that word for a reason. So let's see. Oh, thank you, Glenn, for saying how I'm looking so good. I said I was getting ready to go to bed. So yeah, here I am, ready for bed. And I need my glasses. My readers are not really glasses, but I need them. Long story short, I don't need them all the time or every day. Just sometimes. It's weird. Let's see. Not just education. Nope. Not just the education has gone downhill. Not only has our energy costs risen from the gasoline we put into our cars. I remember when diesel was cheaper than gasoline. I remember people intentionally buying Volvos because the gas was cheaper. I think it was Volvos. Was it Volvos? Were boxy but good? Am I thinking of the right car? Anyway, diesel used to be cheaper. Now it's more expensive, which means it's more expensive to transport our goods because semis use diesel. But our energy costs, electricity, the natural gas for your house, etc., all those costs have gone up. But in the meantime, our infrastructure has gone to hell. Our electric grid, yesterday I lost internet connection 3 times for no reason. And it happens at least once a day, where all of a sudden I have no internet. And it lasts anywhere from a minute, but then it takes 5 minutes for the box to turn back on or to get everything reset, to 2 hours. Our roads are full of potholes, and I don't know about where you guys are, but where I'm at, when they redo a road, they just retop it. They still can't get the manholes even with the road. They're either sticking up to where you're going to do some damage to your tire eventually, or they're too far below the ground. the rest of the road. Our electric grid, Lord knows, their 3 Mile Island's closing. They haven't come up with what we're going to replace it with. Well, they're working on something down the road, but that's not going to be done for another 4 years. Let's see what else. I'm just ranting now. American industrial base is shot. Yep, it is. That's because of all the rules and regulations that were put in place that made it too hard for businesses to stay here. And that's even with our fishing industry. It's cheaper for our own fishermen to catch the fish, ship it off to China, have it processed, and ship it back. That's a lot of boat diesel fuel. How is that cheaper? How is that more efficient? Yeah, it's crazy. 4 words. Necessary and proper clause. Yeah, exactly. Healthcare is shot. Healthcare is shot because, again, whatever the government gets its little dirty hands in, it goes to hell and it costs more. Colleges cost so much now because the government put their little dirty hands in and started subsidizing the colleges, which the colleges says, oh, well, now we can raise our prices. Same thing with the farming and with, oh, look at the green energy, what they've done to that. The solar companies were being subsidized. They still couldn't make a profit. And then what is it? Suncoat? What is? I forget the name of the big solar company. It wasn't big before, but it got big because they too were being subsidized, and then turned around and started buying all these little ones that were going bankrupt, and they just went bankrupt. They lost like $24 billion. That's our money. And wind turbines, don't even get me started on those. It costs more to make a wind turbine than a wind turbine will ever produce. Ever. Plus the cost that it takes, not only just for the maintenance, but when they break, that's why when you'll see like 4 of them rolling around in the wind, and then there'll be one just totally standing still. That's because it broke, and it costs too much to fix it. Let's see what else. Americans need to show some backbone, or they'll deserve the complete totalitarian state they and their descendants will enjoy. I don't mean a violent revolution. I'm starting to think those pitchforks are looking awfully good to me. Pitchforks and torches. You know, tall trees, short ropes. Let's see. Just sticking to principle and nullifying the whole rotten infestation would do it. Yeah, but how do we nullify the whole system? We've got FISA courts, which clearly are unconstitutional when you read the Constitution. Lots of unconstitutional things going on in this country. And I love how all these people, they're freaking out because, oh my God, there's abuses in the FISA courts. Like there's never been abuses in FISA before. Never. No. But isn't it ironic that all these people who are so upset about it are the very people who voted it to continue on? They could have ended it. They could have put a stop to it, saying, no more, we're not doing this anymore. I mean, we already know that NSA is spying on everybody. They could have stopped it. They didn't. That includes Rand Paul, by the way, and Trey Gowdy. They've had all these people lie to them in congressional hearings. Nobody It's a crime. It's literally a crime to lie when you're testifying to Congress. What happens to these liars? Nothing. All fraud game. I don't know what you're trying to say. All fraud game. Is Babylon burns. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, Shenman. Sorry. We really could all be prosperous and have jets and flying stars, jets and flying stars, cars, but for the teeny percentage of psychopaths who have to get their fingers in everything. Yeah. We were prosperous. We were. Oh, and didn't you love, I don't know if you saw it, but didn't you love when Trump at the State of the Union brings up this is the lowest number of unemployment for blacks ever since we've been taking, putting in the data for it, ever. And the whole black caucus, there was one black guy, and he started clapping, and he's looking around going, oh, I wasn't supposed to clap. The rest of them just sat there. Oh, and Nancy Pelosi, I don't know what she was doing with her mouth. That's all she did. She really needs to go as well. Her and Mad Maxine Waters. Oh. Then there's Schumer and Schiff. Hi, and the list goes on and on and on. I don't know. Maybe Trey Gowdy will prove to be the type of stand-up guy we need. Maybe he'll be the one replacing Jeff Sessions. Trump should have fired Jeff Sessions the moment he recused himself. And he hasn't done anything since, except go after marijuana. And the problem I have with Jeff Sessions is he's for civil forfeiture, which is, again, unconstitutional. All legal is fraud. No, not all legal is fraud. No, not all legal is fraud. All legal isn't constitutional, but that doesn't mean all legal is fraud. Let's see, Glenn says, frankly, I don't have much hope in the near term. These creeps would rather see megadeaths rather than see their gravy trains upset. Yeah, that's true. And right now, mainstream media is not talking about it. But, okay, so we funded the Free Syrian Army, which turned out to be basically ISIS. We armed them, we funded them. Not a good move. Thank you, Obama and Hilary, for that wonderful little foreign policy. So Assad is fighting off ISIS. Russia comes over to help him. They join this alliance. The Kurds are also in Syria fighting off ISIS. Well, about 17 days ago, not that long, I'm guessing 17, maybe 15, more than 11 days ago, a new war has started. Turkey is attacking the Kurds, who have been successfully fighting off ISIS. And the last few days, because I've been trying to do research on it, and it's really hard to get. I have to actually go to foreign news and then figure out the translation on it. It seems like a few days ago, at least is where the reports are coming from, it's looking like Russia is making a deal to side with Turkey now. So, but American media is not talking about it at all. When I was doing research on it, ironically, CNN Turk, if you look that up, it's It's actually CNN in Turkey. They're showing the fighting. They're showing everything. But I don't speak it, so when I see the videos, it doesn't really help me. I just can see what's going on. So, yeah, there's that going on too. Oh, and then this Bill Browder, everyone covers for him. This asshole, he actually got rid of his United States citizenship on purpose to avoid paying taxes. But when you hear even Fox News talk about him, he's an American businessman. Yeah, look up Bill Browder, Magnitsky Act, which, if you remember the little Russian lawyer who met up with Trump Jr., that's what she wanted to talk to him about, was getting this Magnitsky Act gone. And she wasn't allowed to come here. And then all of a sudden, she got a special visa from Loretta Lynch to come into America. Sounds like a setup to me. Way too coincidental. Just way too coincidental. Oh, boy, I'm covering so many different topics all just because of Hilary again. Crazy. Let's see. Yep, the oligarchy is miffed. Oh, they're beyond miffed. And I think some people are really panicking. I do. Trump needs to get rid of a number of people that are surrounding him, and that includes his daughter and his son-in-law. They need to go. They need to get out of there. They have no business being there. Not with who their friends are. We got to get rid of Kelly, who's just keeping on this foreign policy that's making another mess. Another mess. They want to get rid of. This started with Secretary Clinton. They wanted to get rid of Assad, but who are they going to replace him with? Same scenarios with Gaddafi. Let's see. Yes, Glenn, you and I have usually agreed on most things. Most things. Stick to moral first principles, including the non-aggression. We could proceed nicely. Well, good luck with that, especially since Antifa is here, and the media has been backing Antifa. Oh, which Antifa, that brings me back to Soros, because Antifa was actually used to help along the coup in Ukraine by the Nazis. If you look at our Antifa's flags and you go and look at those people in Ukraine who were supporting the Nazis, look at their flags. Same exact flag. And these guys are flippin' violent. Scary violent. They have no problem killing a person just because they think. And over here, you're a Nazi. Over there, it's you're not a Nazi. We're going to get you. But it's the same mentality. It's the same civil society 2.0. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Just put in Secretary of State, Civil Society 2.0. It's still there. It's there. You can read the whole playbook. Let's see. American media don't talk about things based on reality. They do. It's just not based on the things that we should be focusing on. George Washington warned of entangling foreign alliances only a couple hundred years ago. Well, he warned of it, but him and Hamilton decided that they were going to pay off the Muslims. And Adams, when he became president, continued that practice. And it actually was Thomas Jefferson that put an end to that shenanigans. Barbary Coast, War of Tripoli, 2 of them under Jefferson. Put a stop to it. Let's see. And yet he wanted to go in guns blazing to quash the Whiskey Rebellion. Well, George Washington had his own personal reasons for doing that. Because at the end of it, at the end of that whole bloody mess of the Whiskey Rebellion, guess who ended up with the largest whiskey distillery in the United States? Give you a hint. His first name is George, and his last name wasn't Bush. Anti-Federalists envisioned an America chock full of small, self-governing communities. Not this god-awful mess. That's right. Which is funny because from the very beginning, the politicians were lying to us. Hamilton took on the Federalist name. Federalist meant small, limited government. So they were already lying to us. Didn't take them long. Antifa, the useful idiots of the totalitarians. Yeah. They're just the violent people that are in every community, and they gather them up and get them gung-ho to go punch Nazis in America. Look at all the young thinking socialism is cool. Yeah. Well, in the meantime, all they have to do is Google what's happening in Venezuela. Ah, these people. Let's see. Glenn says if it was up to him, Aaron Burr would have got busy with Al Mercantilist Hamilton years earlier. Yeah, well. I still say we need an Andrew Jackson. Maybe not a complete carbon copy of Andrew Jackson, but he did successfully kill the banks. He also almost started a war with the Indians because he was kind of racist. I'm being a little sarcastic there, but he did almost start a war because of that. But you realize that Tolkien wrote his LOTR trilogy as an allegory and warning. Yeah. But Tolkien wasn't really a good guy either. I think it was his way of saying, this is kind of how we can do it. And if we do it this one way, this is what it's going to look like. I think that's what he was basically doing. But all right, well, I have no idea what else to say other than I still am having Hilary's sound still reverberating on the back of my neck. I really can't take that woman's voice for very long. Oh my God, I just thought of something. So Trump's State of the Union was, what, the second longest in history? Something like that? Can you imagine having to listen to her for that long? Let's see. War Fox is asking, what are your thoughts on both pre-contracted America and colonial America? Also, my bad for my stupid Trump comment. What Trump comment did you make that I missed? Did I miss it? Pre-contracted America and colonial America. Oh, well, clearly it's problems with all governments. I mean, that's just the way it is. Just some are less troublesome than others. A huge problem is that, at least for where we are now, is everybody keeps saying we're in a democracy, and we're not. We're a constitutional republic. And its focus is supposed to be on protecting the individual rights and having a small, limited government so that the people can prosper. Democracies aren't set up that way. Pre-contacted America. Pre-contacted. I'm not sure what you mean by pre-contacted. That's a first for me. Poor Glenn. He's now eating peppermint Altoids to get the nasty taste out of his mouth from having to listen to her. Stick them in your ears, honey. It might work better next time I have her playing. You never know. I don't know what you mean by pre-contacted. I guess that's what you said before. I just interpret it as contracted, because that's what our Constitution is. It's a contract. I meant, was America before the Europeans came into the country? America was here as a continent. I'm still not getting what you're saying. It might be really late for me, and I'll understand when I wake up tomorrow morning. I meant, was America before the Europeans came into the country? Oh, pre-contacted. Well, pre-contacted, you mean before Europeans came? Well, there were a whole bunch of different Indian tribes, and no, they were not all joyfully singing and holding hands together. They were fighting each other as well. So it's not like we came and disrupted their very peaceful, loving lives. Let's see. Diffusing power. Self-government is fine. Monstrous centralized states are always rotten. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's see. R.J. Rummel saw this over and over in his studies of democide. Who's R.J. Rummel? You've lost me. I don't know who R.J. Rummel is. Should I know? I sometimes toss things out of my mind to make room for other things, so that could be part of it. 262 millions killed by their own governments over the 20th century, excluding combatants in war. Yeah. Don't you love how everyone's, oh, Hitler, 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 and he's done like the least amount of killing when you look at other folks like Stalin. Yes, you should. I'm guessing that's a yes, I should know who R.J. Rummel is. You're going to have to help me out on that one. Like I said, my computer's acting funny, and I don't want to open a new window to Google. I'm barely even using Google anymore. I've been using DuckDuckGo a lot lately, which is really funny because I will go Google it to see how quick, where it's listed what I'm looking for. It's usually, what I'm looking for is usually buried. But on DuckDuckGo, I get what I'm looking for pretty quick. Hitler was awful, but Pike are next to Stalin and Mao. Yeah. But everyone focuses on Hitler for some reason. I don't know why. I really don't. It's kind of like someone focusing on the child who stole a candy bar and ignoring the guy who just robbed the bank and got away with $20 million. Let's see, a decent VPN when I want a low profile. Yeah, I haven't found a decent VPN yet. I guess I should probably do some more work on deciding what's a good one for me, huh? I figure I'm already on so many lists. Having a low profile ain't gonna help me out. This is off topic, says Warfox. Do you believe that trans people are the 2010s answer to black people in the 60s? No. No. Not even close. Why? That would be, trans people are such a minority. It's nowhere near the numbers. But no, they're not the 2010s answer. In fact, I think it was in 2010 when the gays were trying to get their right to marry, which I still don't understand that. Because before you could put anyone you wanted on your insurance. I know that was an excuse that they had a lot of times, or their partner would die and their brother or someone else would end up getting the house or whatever. All you had to do was write out a will saying, I want this to happen. You didn't have to get married for that. By the way, fun fact, first marriages in America, they were for when a black wanted to marry a white. Well, we apparently decided that was just god awful and racist, so now we just want everyone to get one. Which puts the government in your bed. The government has an interest in what is produced out of that marriage, and what's usually produced out of a marriage. Kids. Makes it a little easier to do the whole cradle to grave scenario. Let's see. NordVPN gives me some peace of mind. $2.75 a month if you sign on for 3 years, but you have 30 days to cancel. Yeah, I've stumbled across Nord here and there, but again, I'm so focused on different things that VPN is just not on my priority list. So, all right, what time is it? Oh, it's 11:52. Okay, well, I think I need to go to bed. I can feel a headache coming on now. Thank you, Hilary. But, well, now y'all know what I look like when I'm ready to go to bed. Look about the same when I wake up. All right, I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for showing up. And I will be back again sometime tomorrow. I can't promise when because I'm waiting for my truck to get out of the inspection shop. It was supposed to be out on Friday, but then lo and behold, miraculously, they found new problems, more problems, and said they couldn't get to it until today, or they haven't finished today. Didn't get a call. So I'm hoping I get it tomorrow. We'll see. It better be tomorrow because I've got snow coming tomorrow evening and then heavy snow on Wednesday, which will then is supposed to turn to ice. And I need to get to the store. I'm running out of eggs. And there's no store in a walking distance from me. So, yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be ready for me to get. And hopefully my friend who is going to be picking me up to go get my vehicle will actually get here at a decent time because I went to drop it off on Wednesday so they could start working on it on Thursday, and they said they'd be done on Friday. It took him 5 hours to get down here, and he literally lives 20 minutes away from me. 5 hours I was waiting. Okay. Thanks for the Hildebeest nightmares I'll have when I sleep. Hey, nobody forced you to come on. The title clearly says Hillary Clinton. All right, love ya, and I will see y'all soon. Sometime tomorrow. Again, don't know when. I need a drink. All right, good night.